The U.S. women's soccer team taking a firm stance on the gender pay gap, threatening to boycott this year's Olympic Games unless they get equal pay. The two-time Olympic gold medal winner, Carly Lloyd, along with 4 other team members, filed a complaint with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, saying that they are, quote, sick of being treated like second-class citizens. Joining us right now is Caroline Ghosn. She's the founder and CEO of Levo, a network of career resources designed to help young women achieve professional success. Caroline, good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us. You're in touch with millennials all the time at Levo. What do they say about equal pay?
So there's a difference between the perception around equal pay within millennials and the actual data around how many people are negotiating for a raise, negotiating for more responsibility. And that's a big issue that we wanted to bring to the fore in this conversation. So specifically, the perception of millennials is that, hey, they're equally educated, men and women are graduating from college at the same rate, if not a higher rate for women, and so this problem is going to even itself out. However, when we...
How optimistic!
I know, right, how optimistic!
Good, but that's the upside of...
Right. But that's not the reality. When we, in our recent Levo Listen survey, we polled over 100,000 of our members, and many of them millennial women, average age 23. 56% of them didn't know how to negotiate, hadn't asked for a raise, weren't sure if they were, if they were allowed to, when the right time was.
Was it the same case for men? In other words, were men better prepared to negotiate than women at that age?
Yes.
Huh. Why? That's interesting.
So there's several factors that underlie this, and I think part of it is really equipping young professionals, men and women, to negotiate in the right way. But there's significant data around the fact that men feel more comfortable negotiating for more job responsibility with fewer qualifications than their female counterparts. I mean, the list goes on and on. So,
well, what are the strategies you provide to women when you're saying, hey, this is what you should be doing? Because they're going to need to know what other salaries are,
yes,
when to negotiate, when not to negotiate.
Yes. So my 3 biggest pieces of advice that we provide as part of this campaign are, number 1, do your research. This is not the time to wing it. You need to know how much you're supposed to make.
By the way,
do your homework.
Here's the fact. An analyst by the National Women's Law Center suggests that the average American woman will earn about $430,000 less than a man over the 40-year career. So that's
absolutely.
So that's number 1.
It seems like they should also, the women should stop undercutting themselves. The thing that strikes me about this whole thing with the women's soccer team is they want equal pay. They actually generate more revenue for the United States than men's soccer. They shouldn't be asking for equal pay. They should be saying they should be getting paid a lot more than the men. Not because they're winning, but because they're actually generating twice as much revenue as the men are generating.
How about a little fairness?
Why say you want equal pay?
So what's your second piece of advice?
All right, so number 1, do your research. Understand how much you're supposed to be getting paid. Peg that to revenue. Peg that to what value you're bringing to the company. Number 2, understand your context. If you're walking into a startup that is counting every single penny, or into a Fortune 100 that's just, cut off or had a restructuring of 20% of its population, then it's not the right time to ask for this. So understand your context. Is your manager a morning person? Is your manager a night person? Don't surprise them. Don't surprise them. Prepare them for the fact that you want to have this conversation.
You
know what I love about this, though? This is about personal responsibility and the individual. This is not a conversation about something mandated by the government or legislated by the government. This is something that can be driven just by personal initiative, which is hugely beneficial, because you hear an altogether different conversation when you talk to some politicians.
Yeah. And you're hearing it from celebrities. You've got people like Jennifer Lawrence, Scarlett Johansson. They've spoken out about the salary gap. They say they were paid less than their male co-stars as well. So now you're up to 2. You got a third piece of advice, Caroline.
So the third piece is, don't underestimate the power of body language when you communicate. So you want to go into that conversation open, confident, whatever you need to do to get into that mindset, do it. You need to meditate. You need to remind yourself that you're worth it. Whatever you need to do, walk into that conversation positive and open, and great things will happen. Your manager will pick up on that energy. They'll know you're prepared the second you walk in the door, and they'll know that this is a collaboration. That's a really, really important component of this.
And by the way, you find out, you mentioned the celebrity, Charlize Theron found out through that email leak at Sony, that hack and leak, that she was getting paid less than her male co-star, I think it's Liam Hemsworth, for one of the Huntsman films, and she demanded equal pay. She said, dude, I'm the woman who's open in this movie.
Yeah. But John makes a really good point.
You called it a collaboration. It seems to me that men see it more as a confrontation and are more aggressive in these situations, and women are more likely to see it as a collaboration. Does that really work? Should a woman negotiating for more pay be saying, taking the approach that Caroline Ghosn is taking right now and saying, we want more. You're not giving us enough. You're not being collaborative with me, and being become more demanding.
Well, it really depends on the situation. We would definitely advocate that you begin with a collaboration mindset and that you approach this as a partnership. The goal is you come into a conversation. This is someone you intend to keep working with after this conversation. This is someone that you want that person to respect you more after you've achieved some sort of outcome out of this conversation. And so you want it to be a partnership. So if you look at some of the research that has come out of Harvard, what you'll see is that the most effective negotiators are really, really good at creating a collaboration. So this is not about me versus you. This is about, hey, here are the facts on the table. What can we work with here?
So we shouldn't say, hey, bucko, I found out that lazy Ted over there or Phil is making 20 grand more than I make, and I work double the number of hours. What's he produce?
It's about the approach. It's about the approach.
About it. Yeah.
But from a position of strength, too, you can also have another job lined up. If you have another job lined up, you can negotiate from a position of strength as well.
Right.
Yeah. These are both data
Good
points.
Conversation.
Good data.
It's important to have. Real quick, you millennials, do they have a pick in this election?
They do. And we'll have another conversation about millennial. We'll have another conversation about millennial women in the election.
I have millennials in my house. I know
it's a great way to plan the next year.
Next hour, I can actually explain the Hillary versus Bernie thing related to the equality that millennials believe exists but does not.
Okay, we'll do that.
How about that?
Caroline, come back soon.
Looking forward to it.
Check out Levo, Caroline Ghosn, everybody. We'll see you soon. Thank you. Today.